Cozy Gloves here. And today we're going to talk about, in the sound design with Harmor, rip sounds. And when I say rip, I literally mean it sounds like something is ripping, only it's also a sound. So like white noise, you know, when you tear paper. So this is useful in certain genres for different reasons. Mostly really industrial, intense genres. But here's my little demo rip sound. And you could do a lot with that. You could... let's write out something here. Let me turn it down. So we could go over here and maybe do a bend up, and then we'll do a bend down. So that's the thing. Now, I did not EQ it yet. EQ would probably help a bit. Bring that down. And then you could filter this to do a lot of interesting things with a sound like this. So you might be saying, well, geez, how do I make it sound like that so I could do all these neat, nifty things? So this is a pretty raw thing. I didn't spend a ton of time making this. But the idea is linked to asymmetry. So first we need like a mess. So let's make a mess. So we'll open up a Harmor, default Harmor. Okay, we're going to make a mess. So I'm going to turn, you know what? Coursing. I want unison specifically for this. This is going to be CPU intensive. There are other ways of doing this, and you might not need to go this extreme, but I am only using one Harmor, so I'm going to do this. But if you want to be CPU friendly, you may consider turning your unison order down. So I have that, and now I'm going to just turn the pitch variation all the way up. We get that, and then I'm going to turn the prison on. Sounds like this angry bees, and that's good for me. I'm going to turn reverb on just because this time. Then all you need to do is throw some distortion on that jazz. And you get that. Now, if it's too loud, bring your wet level down, because even bringing down the volume level, it's this distortion is pushing things up and down. So you're just going to need to bring the distortion down. And you get that. Now that's pretty much what we were looking for. And if you wanted to have more of the mess with the asymmetry, I'm not going to explain all the reasons why. It introduces DC offset, and that does some really funky things. It's not good in certain situations, but for a sound like this, I think it benefits. Makes it sort of unpredictable a little too, which is more of what I'm looking for in a sound like this, is that like randomness. Now you might try messing with the frequency. And I'll bring the octave up. Now let's go to the EQ, and let's make some adjustments. Something else you might consider doing is going to the Hertz mode on your unison. It just spreads it differently, and we could go to harmonic randomness and even add some stuff, which is really interesting. Let's move the asymmetry the other. That's pretty cool. Get some machine textures out of this. That's a very usable sound. Now we could go to a harmonic unison pitch, and this controls our pitch variation from here of the different voices. So voice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So yeah. So you can get really specific control over your voicing on the different pitches. So that's a really useful sound right there. That's not quite as extreme as what we had earlier, which is fine. And let's go back to the EQ and now, if you want to automate an EQ, I recommend just getting another EQ2, parametric EQ2 or something, and automating that. So Kind of interesting sound. And as you can see, it's very sculptable, especially with EQ. You get some pretty dramatic changes. So you could sculpt it all over the place. This is where I say, if you're lost and you somehow found this video before you watched the Harmor from the Ground Up tutorial series, I explain what all these buttons and knobs do, so you're not so confused. Now, let's mess with the tremolo. I kind of like that, the feel it gives. And then a phaser, of course. Now, the phasers will probably stick out quite a bit in a sound like this. That's interesting. Vibrato, that's just a bad idea. So let's try. This is a pretty cool sound. Try adding in a sub. So to me, these are rip sounds. And when you automate the pitch, let's make a clip here. Just go to piano roll. That's like super low. Let's get rid of these. Okay. I love this kind of stuff. I use this in my track Symbolic. And you could, of course, go up. You could start low and go up. So you could create a lot of interesting things. You could even add more distortion after. I think we could even get heavier with just this stuff. So I am pretty happy with that. We could try compressing it as well, which would be interesting. I would kind of want a lot of low end on this. We could bring the mids out, bring the highs up. Of course, we could do the inverse, of course. That'd sound cool as well. And we haven't even filtered it yet. So let's go ahead and let's do a bandpass. A bandpass filter. We're going to bring the width down because I don't want it so wide. And let's go over here and create a thing. Now, that sound is the result of our asymmetry. So when you render out your song, you're going to need to move your entire song over a bar, render it, and then cut off that little click, take the waveform, and re-render it so that it starts the exact way you want. That's the way I work around that sort of a problem. And you can see the bandpass is working, maybe a bit wider. And let's automate this. Okay, let's see. Bring it down. Maybe have some sudden things going on. Ooh, maybe we're making something that's a little unusual. We'll have a generic rhythm here, just the typical stuff. I love stuff like this, like, cause it's just so crazy. Now we could do something a little less. Make the bandpass rider. This stuff is just the greatest. So like they think when they hear these sounds that like people like specifically made like that one sound, where nah, it's like this crazy. You go through a process. It'd be interesting to add some harmonics. It will sound a little more metallic with this. We could change the steps for that upper end. Now we could of course do something much less intense, like a low pass. bandpass, and stop. Man, that's just so good. I love it. Here's the bandpass again. I like the bandpass most. Man, I like that. I like that. I'd throw a drum beat on that and get all funky and crazy. I maybe record it and move things to exactly where I want them, because you might not get exactly what you want timing-wise with the automation. So that's the thing that people do. And then at this point, we can mess with our EQ a little more creatively now and directionally. Directionally creative is like the name of the game. So we could do, why are you not working? This is a very interesting problem I am experiencing. I must have pushed a button somewhere. Oh yeah, asymmetry as well. Like I said, that randomness at the beginning controls how much of this kind of goes in and out of this filter. It gets really weird. Asymmetry introduces a lot of interesting issues and also solutions. Create a series of resonances, or we could just boost this part. You notice our fundamental tends to hang out right here. That's just where I generally do my thing. So I made this patch like in front of your eyes, so I don't need to explain anything. But as you can see, we get some really crazy sounding stuff. I dig that. I dig it so much. Let's go to the, I like the bandpass. Let's make the not so wide. And let's bring this back. And let's go back to the EQ. I do something like this. Tip out the mids. Go to the asymmetry, change that. This is going to be the part that's all touchy. And that's that. If you have any questions, let me know. Subscribe. And have a blessed day.
Reverse it.